This is the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, as always, Chase Sr. Thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day and supporting the channel. Coming your way on the show, 49ers post-June 1 trade targets, some really intriguing names who San Francisco could elect to target. But first, a lot of news that we have to get to on the 49ers roster side of things after June 1, and we start with Dee Ford. So San Francisco, according to multiple reports, expected to part ways and cut Dee Ford post-June 1. And there's a lot of financial implications with letting him go. So by releasing Dee Ford, the 49ers will save around $1 million in 2021, which really isn't all that much, but nearly $3 million in 2023. He will cost the 49ers about $6 million in dead money this upcoming year, as well as the season after in 2023, and a little less than $1 million from 2024 to 2026. Obviously, Dee Ford and that trade and the contract that San Francisco had given him didn't really work out because he was off injured after that 2019 season, got off to a roaring start for him, but it's time to move on from Dee Ford, and that is going to happen post-June 1. Something else to keep an eye out for. It's a Jimmy Garoppolo trade. Jimmy Garoppolo could also be a post-June 1 trade chip going into this year, has a cap hit of about $27 million. And we've talked about this so much right here on the 49ers Report. You trade him away, and it frees up so much money to give Deebo Samuel a contract extension, as well as Nick Bosa, and try to round out the peripheries of this roster and just open up some cap space. Right now, San Francisco has the second least cap space in the National Football League. By trading away Jimmy Garoppolo, they vault all the way up to number 1 or 2. That's how much money they're going to save post-June 1 trade of Jimmy Garoppolo. Do not rule that out. Before we get to their trade targets for San Francisco, I want to hear from you in the comment section right now as I field all of your responses. Name a player that you think the 49ers should trade for down below. Let me know in the comment section right now. 49ers post-June 1 trade targets. We start off with Robby Anderson, wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. Now, if you ask me about the 49ers receiving core, I think they're in a pretty good position as of right now, but an injury could change everything. And Robby Anderson can change games with his ability to get up and down vertically very, very quickly. We're talking about a player who can run about a 4.3 40-yard dash, and he's been able to display that for a long time in the NFL with the New York Jets and the Carolina Panthers. You take a gander at what he's been able to do the last 2 years, and keep in mind, he's a pretty affordable player for what he brings to an offense. 136 targets in 2020, 95 receptions, more than 1,000 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, and 11.5 yards per catch. Last year, the targets went down, the receptions went down because the Panthers quarterback situation was not ideal at all, as Sam Darnold simply did not work out before Carolina pivoted to Cam Newton, and because of that, the numbers suffered a little bit. Robby Anderson has shown that with even mediocre quarterback play, he can be a very solid player. I had an opportunity to scout him and watch him when I went to Temple University, where he made a name for himself, latched on with the New York Jets as an undrafted free agent, and has done a masterful job of carving out a role for himself in the NFL. I think he's more like the 2020 player as compared to the 2021 player. A fascinating trade target if an injury were to happen within this 49ers receiving core. We stay at wide receiver because I want to talk about Jalen Reagor. I've said in the past, it stuns me, it befuddles me why the Philadelphia Eagles don't use Jalen Reagor as a mini-sized Deebo Samuel. He has that physical component to his game and the athleticism to make an impact as a wide back and as a wide receiver. Unfortunately, though, I don't think he's been used to the best of his abilities, and I think he has suffered from a lack of confidence playing in the pressure cooker of Philly. Career stats over 2 years as a former first-round pick, not ideal at all. And he hasn't had an opportunity to really impact the games running the football. Through the air, only 64 catches, 695 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think there's a better player within Jalen Reagor, but because of that lack of confidence, he's dropped a lot of passes in some really big moments, and he has failed to reach the lofty expectations of being a first-round pick, and it didn't help him or the Eagles that they took took him over Justin Jefferson in the draft back a couple years ago. Brandon Ayuk, a much better player and a much better decision by San Francisco in that same draft class. I think the 49ers receiving core could be one of the most well-rounded and one of the deeper receiving cores in the NFL. I'm not going to go as far as to say they're going to be one of the best, but I think this receiving core gives Trey Lance and Kyle Shanahan and this offense a bunch of different types of players, and I like the diversity to this receiving core. And I think San Francisco going into this year, as of right now, without any injuries, are in a really good position. I also want to see more from Jawan Jennings. I think he can be that security blanket for Trey Lance, that slot receiver who gives them size, who can continue to ball out on some of the money downs, and I'd rather see Jawan Jennings play and continue to develop than go after one of these trade targets. But if an injury were to happen, that's where things get dicey within this offense. Now, I'm high on this 49ers receiving core. What do you think about this receiving group, though? I want to hear from you in the comment section once more. A, B, C, D, or F, how would you grade what the 49ers boost at that receiver spot? We stay on the offensive side of the football now with Andre Dillard, another former first-round pick, also with the Philadelphia Eagles, who is a popular trade chip out there. Now, the Eagles are pretty set at both tackle spots. At left tackle, Jordan Mailata, he just got paid, and Lane Johnson, also one of the highest paid tackles in the game. So because of that, Andre Dillard is on the outside looking in of that tackle rotation. But when he's gotten on the field, especially last year, because his first couple of years, it looked as though he was heading in the direction of being a bona fide bust, he's actually played some pretty good football. Now, he primarily plays left tackle. He has played some right tackle in the past. If the 49ers were to trade for him, he would be the future Mike McGlinchey replacement, or maybe even his replacement as soon as this year if McGlinchey is not able to come back off that torn quad. Dillard in 2021, because there were some injuries along that offensive line for Philly, he played 340 snaps, so the sample size was pretty large there. Had 7 penalties, something that you got to work on just a little bit, but here are the big numbers here. 1 sack allowed in 340 snaps. 1 hit allowed. Total pressure is 20, but I think that number actually looks worse than it actually is. I want to hone in on the sacks allowed number and the hits allowed number, a combined 2 pretty good numbers for Andre Dillard. And I don't think he's in the future plans for the Eagles, and I do think that he can live up to those expectations of being that former first-round pick. Once he goes elsewhere, out of Philadelphia, I think he will be a very good value player as a starting tackle in this league. Are you concerned about the 49ers offensive line right now? Because the only sure thing that we know of as of right now is Trent Williams holding it down at that left tackle spot. Other than that, Colton McKivitz, Jake Brendel, Aaron Banks, Jalen Moore, those are the types of inexperienced and unproven players that might be protecting Trey Lance. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Moving forward right here on the 49ers Report, of course, we're going to continue to push out videos every single day on YouTube as well as Rumble, but we have entered the podcasting fray on Callin. It's a live interactive podcasting app where I have an opportunity to take your calls like a sports talk radio show. Now, I know the faithful always shows out, as evidenced by our nearly 60,000 subscribers right here on the channel. That's why you got to subscribe. But with Callin subscribers, we are getting our asses kicked by Chicago Bears now. You see the numbers to my right. I don't stand for this. I don't accept it, and you shouldn't either, because faithful to the Bay has to show up and be more faithful on Callin. We want to show the folks at Callin that the gang always shows out. 224 subscribers for Bears now as compared to 81 for the 49ers Report. This is the 49ers Week 1 opponent. We want to beat them on the football field. We're already beating them with YouTube subscribers. Let's pick our game up a little bit on the Callin side of things. Chatsports.com/49ersCallin. Download the app on your iPhone or your Android. That link is available in the comment section in the description. Make a profile so that you can call in and join the show. Last 49ers trade target to get to post June 1. Jessie Bates, safety for the Cincinnati Bengals. When he's right, when he's playing well, when he's engaged, he is a very good safety. But unfortunately, his game has waned just a bit over time. Now, last year in the playoffs for Cincinnati, en route to that Super Bowl appearance against the Los Angeles Rams, still makes me sick that the Lambs won that. 20 tackles, 6 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. He was great. He was awesome. He looked like one of the best safeties in the NFL, and he's proven to be that caliber of player throughout his career. First 4 years of his career, he's been excellent. Going back to 2018, he is a tackle machine that doesn't often miss tackles. He's also very physical, not afraid to put his hat on the football. 2018, 111 tackles, 7 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. 2019, he once again reached the century mark in terms of tackles, more pass breakups, same amount of interceptions. But then 2020, probably the best year of his career. 109 tackles that year, 15 pass breakups for a safety, is a tops all safeties in the NFL, and 3 interceptions. And last year, his game dipped a little bit. Now, I'm not sure if that's because of the lack of a contract extension, but in 2021, in the playoffs, he was excellent. During the regular season, he wasn't all that good. He is a little bit expensive. 2022 cap hit of about $13 million. But let's remember, you let go of D Ford. You trade away Jimmy Garoppolo. You restructure some contracts on this team like an Eric Armstead. You extend Jimmy Ward. That frees up a lot of money to maybe make a play for Jessie Bates, who could be the future safety. But it looks as though Talanoa Hufanga might be that guy alongside Jimmy Ward as well. Speaking of Hufanga, you want him, you want Jessie Bates. And are you confident in the man with the amazing Troy Polamalu hair? Give me a C for confident, W for worried. Let me know what you think about Talanoa Hufanga. Some 49ers players now who could get traded post-June 1. Jimmy Garoppolo, as we talked about. Trey Sermon, if Ty Davis-Price beats him out in a training camp battle, because another team out there is going to look at the skill set for Trey Sermon and say, you know what, he didn't get ample opportunities with San Francisco. Let's take a swing in this guy. He certainly has some talent. And then a sneaky name here, Jordan Willis, and I can even add Samson Ebukam to the equation as well. Those are players who could get traded on top of some of these 49ers trade targets. Before we hop on out of here for this segment, we're pushing out 49ers videos every single day. Little more than 500 people away from 60,000 subscribers. We are the largest and biggest 49ers news and rumors channel on YouTube. So support us, join the faithful if you want top-tier 49ers coverage by hitting that red subscribe button right now.